American Airlines flights are slipping off the tarmac. It's snowing in Chicago. Everybody's talking about it. Nat Gas tanked. Scott Bauer, the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. Scott, we were just talking the run in Nat Gas. So are we seeing a selling of the news now that the bad weather arrived?
You know, there's a little bit of both things happening here. Selling the news, okay, but also there's a huge stock right now. There's a huge stock of natty gas that's been building up, and you know that may be of some concern to these bullish players that we've seen that have been in here since 220, 225. We had this conversation, it was about a week ago, Oliver, leading up to this big run up before today's big sell-off, and talking about how maybe that death trade is over, because it sat down there for so long and in trying to get ahead of the weather that was coming. And now that the weather's here, look what's happening. So
Nat Gas, as we know, as we were talking about, just trades so fast, has big swings. If we look at a chart over the last
momentum.
Yeah, exactly. The last 60 days, to put this in perspective, the sell-off of 5.5% basically puts it right at the high from mid-September. Scott, do you want to look and say, hey, this is a pullback to watch this commodity keep its run to the upside, or is this telling us the trend is over? Do you want to take a position?
No, I'm watching it right here, and I actually think we're going to bounce from here. If it holds in this range, 264 or so, 263, 264, that's a real good thing technically, Oliver, because that's been some massive resistance. If that now becomes support, what's going to happen is we're going to see buyers flood the market, because if you look at the 50 and the 200-day moving averages, they're almost converging with the 50 crossing over the 200, forming what's known as that golden cross, which is a very bullish sign. So I'm looking for this area that we came right down to today on the big sell-off. If it holds there, honestly, I wouldn't doubt if we see 280, 290, and maybe even break 3 on the upside.
Yeah, all right, and my layman's technical stuff here, you've got the golden cross. I'm just looking at a point that now was previous, highs, so maybe that'll become some support.
It was.
If it holds on around 2.6. Okay, Scott, let's talk about some other big moves in the session. My eyes have been on gold all day, because even when stocks were down, gold started to just crumble this morning. It's found a little bit of strength, but should gold bugs be worried? I think it's the topic of the day.
I think if we go down another 2% or so somewhere around that 14 and a quarter area, 14.23 area, that is some pretty big support. If it doesn't hold there, gold bulls should be very worried. I think this is probably just a lot of profit taking, long overdue, mind you, in the gold space here. But it is, maybe of some concern that stocks were selling off this morning, and we did not see gold rally off of that. But again, I'm not overly concerned to the downside unless we break through that 1423, 1425 area.
So we didn't really see gold get a bid when stocks were down. Bonds also didn't for the futures and treasuries. So the safety plays. This is kind of the risk, I guess, as we see improvement in the global economy, right, Scott? Is there a risk now? There's days like today where nothing works, where you don't make money on stocks, but gold and bonds still unwind their big froth from the summer?
But are we really seeing an improvement? I mean, the data that came out overnight from China was pretty poor.
Right.
Overall, yes, I agree with you. There is some improvement. But what's really difficult is to look at today's activity across all space, equity, bonds, commodities. Very difficult on a day like today when 2/3 of the trading world is not trading actively because they're off today.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, there could be a new pattern forming here.
Yeah, that's true. All right, nicely done, Scott Bauer. We'll keep an eye on him. Right now, Nat Gas still down on the day, 5.5%. Scott Bauer, CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. We'll be right back. It's the closers panel. We're going to